Hey all, Dipro here from Monday. Today I'm going to show you how you can set up your first CRM app with the Monday Apps framework. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to end up today with an app just like this. This is a risk forecaster and prioritization app that sales teams can use to basically see what deals do they have on the table right now, which ones are risky and which ones are high value. And so the thought process with this app is that a sales team can come in and look at all of the deals that are high risk and also high value. These are things that you want to invest in a little bit more, and then also things that are high risk but low value and maybe need to be deprioritized a little bit, so that you can understand a little bit more where you need to actually invest your time, invest your resources to get these deals across the line. This app is actually built using the apps framework, and this is available as open source code that you can actually set up in your own account. So how do we actually set this up? I'm going to show you a couple of different things. The first thing is I'm going to show you how to configure the app inside of the Monday Developer Center, creating an app, adding a feature to it, and setting it up so that it can actually live inside of Monday. And number two, I'm also going to show you how to set up the example code so that you can actually run this app on your local machine and start building on top of it. This sample code is free and ready for you to use, which means that you can use it as a baseline for any apps that you build, whether you want to add more to this specific use case or you want to just use it as a jumping off point and build something of your own. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is open up your Monday CRM. And if you don't already have a Monday account, you can set one up. There's a link in the video description where you can set up a Monday developer account. When you have a Monday developer account, you can actually access the CRM, you can access work management, and you can actually play around with the tool in a very simple testing environment, which is great for understanding how the API works, understanding how data storage works inside of Monday, and actually building your first app. Once you do have your developer center open, you can actually, your developer account open, you can click on this menu right here and then switch over to the CRM, and that'll give you access to the CRM workflows such as leads, deals, and so on. This app actually runs off of the timelines feature inside of the CRM, which is essentially a running list of activities for a given lead. For example, with Devin Singh, maybe I sent them 3 or 4 emails and I had a couple of meetings with them. The timeline shows all of this information in one place, and it's accessible via API, which is why my app can use it. So once you've actually set up your Monday account, what I'm going to then ask you to do is install the sample code. We're going to start with this just so that we have it done, and then we can set everything else up inside of Monday. This should take less than 5 minutes. All right, so first things first, let's open up the sample code in GitHub. Check the video description for the most recent URL for this code. Currently, it's living in this repo. I'm just going to copy that, and then I have my VS Code open right here, and I'm just going to clone this in here. All right, now that I've cloned this, you'll see monday.com code examples, and in here there's the CRM risk assessment view. I'm just going to change my directory to go into there. All right, now that I'm inside the CRM risk assessment view, I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to initialize the CLI, the Monday command line interface, and then once I do that, I'm going to actually run the app. And before I do any of that, I need to install the dependencies. So let's run npm install. This is going to install React, and it'll install a bunch of different libraries, including the Monday software development kit, Monday API software development kit, as well as our component library. So this will be really useful for you. All of this is already bundled with the app, so you don't have to worry about installing new dependencies. All right, now that I have installed the dependencies, I'm going to initialize this. So to do that, run npm run init. And this is going to, this is a wrapper for the CLI init command. And what this is going to ask you for now is your Monday API token. Okay, you need this in order to create a tunnel for your to expose your app to the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and get my access token. I'm going to go back to my browser, and inside of my Monday CRM, I'm going to click on my avatar and click the Developer Center. Now this is also where we're going to add our app, but to begin with, I need to just get my API token. So I'm going to click my access tokens. I'm going to hit show, copy this access token, and then paste it in here. Once you paste this in, a maps.rc file will be created inside of the project, which will contain the configuration for the CLI. Okay. All right, so now that I have set up the app, let's go ahead and run it. So npm run start. And that's going to do two things. It's going to set up the development server, and it's also going to set up the tunnel so my app is exposed on the internet. I'm going to now copy this URL. It'll say connection established at, and then a URL. I went ahead and copied that, and I'm going to be using this a little bit later when creating my app. Now let's go back to the My Apps section of the Developer Center, and let's create our app and add a feature to it. So I'm going to create my app here. I'm going to hit create. Now that we've got our app, let's go ahead and name it. Name it something recognizable so that you can remember it later. I'm going to name this CRM Risk Assessment App, Super CRM Risk Assessment App. Great. I'm going to hit save. And now I've got this app at least set up inside of my Monday account. I'll need to do a couple more things. Okay, so first I'm going to go into the OAuth section and give my app some permissions. By default, your app doesn't have any permission to access the Monday API, and so I need to specify the scopes that it has access to. I'm going to go ahead and give it the boards read scope. This will let it access data from the boards via the API. And later I may, if you want, add updates, tags, teams, webhooks, and so on. And you can add these scopes incrementally as you add more features to your app. Once I do that, I'm going to now add a feature to my app. So the app feature is really important. This is essentially choosing the real estate inside of Monday that your app is going to run in. So this can be a board view, it can be a widget, it can be an action that pops up when a user clicks a menu. In this case, I'm going to be using the board view feature because it's well connected with the board, and it's a bit easy to understand for new developers. So I'm going to hit add feature, and I'm going to click board view. Hit next. It'll then give you the option to start from a template, but since we are using the CRM example, I'm just going to hit start from scratch, and we'll configure this manually. Okay, now that I have this set up, I'm going to now rename my feature. Again, make this recognizable so that you can find it and add it to your app, add it to your workflows. I'm going to call this Super CRM Risk Assessor. Hit save. And I'm going to do two more things. This app requires a settings field. So I'm going to add a settings field here. I clicked on View Setup, click Add Fields. And it should be a column field type. The title, I'm going to call this Deal Value. And then this is the important part. Name should be x-axis. And the reason is this is the data that gets passed to the app. And my app expects the x-axis field to show up. We can also add some column types here. I'm going to add the number column here so that I can select a number column. And I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to save this feature. Remember to save your feature. Once I've added my view setting, I'm then going to go back to my feature details, and I'm going to add a deployment. Remember, I have a local server running. I can actually use the deployment to connect Monday to my local environment. Okay. So let's go back to VS Code, and let's grab that URL one more time. Let's hit copy and paste that as my custom URL. And so now what's going to happen is every time I open up this app feature, an iframe will come up, and Monday will render whatever is served from this URL. Okay, now that I've set up the deployment, I'm gonna add the board view to my board. So I'm gonna go back to the deals board. I'm gonna hit refresh just once, and then I'm gonna click this plus icon to add a view. You may see the app in this apps list. So when you scroll down, you'll see a list of all the installed apps that are available for you. If you don't see it in this list, you can also click explore more views. But in this case, Super CRM Risk Assessor is here. So I'm just gonna click that. And what this is now going to do is render whatever is being served by my app URL. Okay, and in this case, I immediately see an application error because there's no deal value that's set. So I click here, and then I'm going to click deal value, and now, boom, it's going to pop open the visualization of all of my data. All right, now that we have this app set up, I'm gonna add some features to it. On this video, I'm just gonna add one feature, and I'll make another video that digs in a little bit deeper and really adds some significant stuff to this application. But in this case, I'm just gonna add one additional field so you can see what playing around with the API looks like with this app. So for this app, you can, whenever I roll over any of these data points, you can see a little tooltip opens, and it gives me some information about that data point, right? It tells me the deal value, it tells me the risk score, it even tells me the item ID and the name, okay? And when I click it, it opens the item page as well, okay? We call this the item card, and it's really an item summary. The summary of this specific deal in the CRM. It'll tell you where we are in the deal flow. It will show me what activities are available, that timeline that I talked about earlier, and it also has the total info about the deal in one place. And well, what I want to do now is actually add some more information to this tooltip, okay? I can dig in, click this button and see a lot more information, but I don't want to do that. I just want to see it in this tooltip, so I'm going to add a bit more info. Specifically, what I want to add is the group of the item, okay? So in the main table, you can see that every deal is in a group, new, active, in proposal, closed, etc. And what I want is for this group to actually be displayed in the tooltip as well. So let's go ahead and set that up. Let's go back to my code editor. I already have the tunnel running, so I don't have to worry about that. And this will update every time I update the sample code. And let's go. So inside the CRM risk assessment app, there's a couple of files to watch out for. The first is the SRC folder. This is where the source code of all the app, the app logic is. And inside of it, we have app.tsx, which holds the main API data fetching logic. We also have queries.graphql.ts, which lists out the GraphQL queries that this app actually uses and exports them as constants to be used by app.tsx. And then the last component that I think is important is account risk chart, which is in here. This is the actual, this actually renders that chart. It just takes some chart data and displays it in that way. So if you want to style the chart, you can do it in account risk chart. In this case, what I need to do is actually edit all three of these files. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more space. And let's go ahead and make this happen. So in order for me to get the group of each of these items, I need to first retrieve the group from the API, okay? To do that, I need to make a GraphQL query, okay? Today, or right now, in the app.tsx file, you'll see there is a section where we're fetching the items from a board. We're doing this inside of a React effect, and it's making an API call using the Seamless API client. The Seamless API client is an API client that lets you make API calls without authentication. That's why we call it Seamless, okay? And super useful every time you want to just make API calls from inside the Monday context, whether that's in a board view, inside a widget, in an action, whatever. And what this is doing is it's making the get board items query. Okay, so let's go into the queries.graphql, and let's go to get board items. And this is the actual query. If you're not super familiar with GraphQL syntax, then now is when you can learn. And what I'm going to do is copy this query and test it in the API playground, okay? So that way we can see what it's doing, and then we can add the group data to it, okay? So let's go back to Monday. Let's go back to the Developer Center, and let's open up the API playground. And I'm gonna paste this query into the playground as is, and this takes two arguments. It takes the board ID, and then it takes the cursor, okay? So for these arguments, they're called GraphQL variables. I'm going to write them down in this variable section. I'm going to go through this really fast. If you need a little bit more, if you want to learn a bit more about the API playground, we have another video for that, and there's also tons of resources in our documentation. But let's go ahead and just add this board ID for testing. Board ID is in the URL, 801 something. And when I hit run, this should work. Okay, so now this is running. So I at least have set this up correctly. Now let's go ahead and get the group of these items, okay? The group of an item lives in a couple of different places. It lives on the board, right? So you can access groups via the board, but it also lives as a field on the items, okay? Every single item has a group associated with it. And in this case, because I'm fetching group data on each item, I think it's better if the group is associated with the item. And so what I'm going to do is go into items, and these are all the fields that I'm fetching from items, and I'm going to just add group to it. And for each group, I'm going to get, let's see what data I can get. So I've opened up the documentation here, and then in a group, I want to get the title of the group. Here, it's just called title. So group, and then open up some braces, and then enter title, which is a field I want to access from group. Let me just prettify this so I can see the structure, and let me hit play just to make sure that this works and doesn't throw an error. When I run this, it returns the board data, and I'm just going to hit Control F, and we're going to search for group. There we go. And you can see right here, new deals comes up for this item that I'm scrolling through. So I'm successfully getting the group data. This is awesome. What I now need to do is take this, put it back inside of my app as the get board items query. And let me just format this document. So it's good. Hit save. If I run this as is, I am going to get some, and start working on this, I'm going to get some Typescript errors. Each of these queries is actually turned into a type, into a set of types using our API library. And so I'd want to run that type generation one more time before I actually continue editing this code. So I'm just going to close this out, Control C. And now we're going to run GraphQL CodeGen. And this is listed out in the README, but all I need to do is run npm CodeGen. Oops, npm run CodeGen. And this now parses this out and creates types for me. Once I've done that, I can now look at the get board items query result type, and I'll actually see the group in that. And the best way to do that is to just see it on the items object. So this effect is fetching items from the board and then setting it to the item state. So if I go to the item state, what this is doing is it's accessing the items and then passing it along. And all of this data is getting passed to the chart using a chart data chart data field. So this is where I want to actually add the group. So for chart data, it goes through all the items, and it actually just like pulls the relevant information that it wants. It constructs an object, and then it pushes it to a data array. And so for this, I want to actually add group name to it, and group name is going to be on the item group.title. Okay, and you can see that already this type generation is working because I've just rolled over item, and group, which wasn't there before, now exists. Okay, so I can access this, and it won't give me any type errors. So I can just put item.group.title, and I'll need to add this to the chart row type as well. It's over here. I'm going to add that as a string here. Oh. All right. Now that I've set that up, I don't have any more type errors, and I'm good to go. The last thing I want to do is actually like display this group name. Okay, so now the chart is getting this data, but it's not displaying it. And so in the tooltip, there's a custom tooltip component here, and in here, this is what you're seeing when you roll over any of the items. You can see ID, deal value, and so on. Let's just go ahead and add one more and call this group name, and this is going to be group underscore name. And then I have to destructure this. Okay. So now what we've done is we've added the group name to the API call. We've added it to app.tsx so that we're actually fetching it and passing it along to the chart component. And then in the chart component, we're rendering this. Okay, so now we've set all of this stuff up. I'm just gonna do npm run start again to start the server again. What's nice about the Monday CLI is that you'll get the same tunnel URL, and so I don't need to edit anything inside of the Monday UI. I don't need to go in and like redeploy anything. It'll just work. And so now I just have to hit refresh. I can do a hard refresh, or I can just reload that specific iframe. I'm gonna do a hard refresh right now, and once this is done rendering, I can roll over any of these items, and aha, the group name exists. Okay, so you can see at the bottom here, active deals is, Devin says they're active deals. Rajesh is in lost or stale. Emma is in lost or stale. So now I have this data available, right? What you've seen in the last, 5 minutes is how to access more information via the API, generate types from it using the CodeGen library, and actually like push it to your app with very little work. So far, this has been a 20-minute video, and yeah, this is you can do this in an afternoon, and then once you start playing around with it, you can actually build a lot of stuff with it. But there you have it. I've shown you how to set up your app. I've shown you how to connect it to your local machine, and even edited some of the code so that you can start building your own applications. I really encourage you to take that sample code and build a production app from it, right? It gives you everything that you need to set up a board view. So catch you then. Have a good rest of your day, and talk to you later. Cheers.